That's like individual water. That's gross stuff. She gave him whole grain water and then gave him some peanut butter to pour over his bread.
Okay, we're gonna go and get started. Sorry for the delay. I just wanted to provide a few extra minutes so that people could come in and wouldn't miss any of the great content. So, as many of you know, we've been doing a social media series. This is our second event. And so we're just trying to go over, tips and tricks, best practices, things that will help you in your office or your school or your team kind of make plans for how you're going to utilize that in the future. And so, we're not looking specifically at your site and saying, this is what you need to go do, but it's really about thinking about, how you can best utilize the people that are already in your office instead of creating new work for yourself, just kind of making a day-to-day task, just like picking up the phone or answering emails in your office. So I want to introduce Brad Ward. Today we're talking about social web content best practices and also kind of increasing your audience size. So looking at those things that you can just do and know about within your Facebook pages and groups to really help boost that enrollment and also get the content out that you really want to share with people. So Brad, let you take it over.
Thank you. Who all was here for the first session? Do you have similar audience? All right. And you came to this one, huh? Yeah, wait, I can sit at my desk and eat lunch and watch these later? Okay. So this one was a little tougher to put together just because as I got into content and started thinking about sort of all the ways that content can be affected. Content really varies by the type of message or what time, what day you're posting the content, what your audience is, what your goals are for the content. And then a huge one is your platform. Where are you posting it? Is this a Twitter update? Is this a Facebook group, Facebook page, YouTube video? We definitely don't have this cookie cutter solution of content to say, here's what all your content should look like and good luck, go from there. So just to kind of talk through some of these. First, the type of message. Again, is it a link? Is it a photo? Is it text? Like, what type of message are you putting out there? If it's a link, you typically want to be real short and sweet. You want to just say, hey, here's what you need to know, and here's click here, give them something, tell them why they should do it. One thing I see on Facebook a lot is, when you copy that link in and then it kind of generates that little preview, you can actually then remove the link back out of that text. And so sometimes that even just makes it look a little cleaner. One thing I'm big about on Facebook is trying to make your posts not look like everyone else's. So if you just go to your own Facebook and kind of scroll down, you'll notice a lot of short, 1 or 2 line updates, and those are usually from your friends. They're just saying something. Then you get into the brands, and it's always like paragraph that big, huge link, photo, and I think our minds are kind of trained to just sort of skim over that, right? And so you want to be different from that. You want to kind of try to fit into how you personally or the people you interact with most on Facebook are using it and the type of content that they're updating. And so I think there's definitely some value in kind of playing around with that. Time day posted, I think I mentioned in the last section, we really look towards like those Pepsi Coke breaks, 10 a.m., 2 p.m., you've been in the office for a bit, you've got a little work done, and you kind of, hop over here and browse, drinking the Diet Coke back there. So I think, again, with that, if you're posting within those times, you can also look for some of that engagement. And if I'm an admissions page and I'm posting at 10 a.m., I shouldn't really expect anybody to be interacting with that content, right? Because they're in class, hopefully, during the school year. If you're looking towards students, maybe you kind of know these are the times that students are most likely to be in class. Maybe everyone has like that 10 to 11 a.m. class in their schedule. That's probably not the best time to post. Or if it is something that you need to get out, don't forget about this event today, whatever, kind of keep it a little more short and sweet. Audience, again, just kind of playing off that. Are you talking to students? Are you talking to alums? Are you talking to non-traditional students who might be at work and take night classes? Are you talking to prospective students who, again, they might be in school right now or after school activities? One thing we learned on the text messaging side a few months back, we sent out we had a campaign going for a client, and so we were sending a text each Friday. And the first time we sent the text, it was like 3:30 or so in the afternoon. And it went pretty well. We had good click-through rates. But then we thought, well, what about all those people who are coming out of school and going straight to like their spring sport, whether it's practice or they're on the bus, whatever. So we tried to push it a little later, and we went like 7:30 the next week, and click-through rates were 10% of what they were the week before. And it's kind of same message, same audience, same everything. And so it was just interesting to learn that quickly, that maybe 3:30 is a good time because they are sitting on that school bus heading to the track meet and they don't have anything to do, as if we can't talk to everyone around us. I was golfing last night and I saw this kid playing by himself, and he'd hit his ball and then he's, on his phone the whole time. And I was thinking, like, what did I do when I was 16 playing golf by myself? I guess I just thought stuff, I don't know. So yeah, audience definitely matters. Goals, again, are you trying to get signups for an event like this? Or are you just trying to get general information out there? Are you trying to be funny and interact with your audience? That kind of all plays in as well to the type of content you're posting, and then we'll talk about a few of these as we go. And then finally, platform. 140 characters on Twitter doesn't necessarily work well as an update on Facebook, or the video you post on YouTube, you can't embed that in an email, and so you have to kind of think of what's my ultimate end goal for this message I'm getting out there. We kind of call it doing the Obama. So in email, if you take a screenshot of your video and put a little play button on top of it, he was always really good with email campaigns of saying like, hey, important message, click here. And all it was the video. So we use that a lot, especially on the recruitment side. I mean, click-through rates like 50, 60, 70%, because you're saying the video is the message. I'm not gonna give you 3 paragraphs of all this stuff that I'm already saying in the video. Just kind of getting them straight there. And then it's also interesting to think about the platform. If I have a YouTube video, am I sending them there, or again, can I just put that in Facebook and they click the play button and it plays right there and they don't have to leave and pop out to a new website to look at it? So kind of just, again, we'll talk about platform specific as we get through this, but that definitely has an impact on the type of content you're posting. So first question I get a lot is, how much content should I be posting? What's too much, what's too little? I would say for the majority of people, you're probably already posting too much content, and I guess I get to make your job easier. We've worked with schools that their Facebook page, they're putting out 125 updates a month, 4 updates a day. And then we came in and said, really, you just need 10. Like, we can't do it. It was Ohio Wesleyan University. They were 4th worst in the nation in terms of engagement of their Facebook page back in 2009, 2010. Now they average 7 posts a month. 2 years ago, they were number 2 in the nation, and this past year, they were number 1 in the nation, simply by just not posting as much and making those 5 to 7 posts be the greatest posts ever. I had somebody once, they were near retirement, sitting in a meeting with me, looking at this young kid. He doesn't know what he's talking about, right? And as we were talking about how much content, he had been in PR his whole career. And he said it's kind of like if I sent the local newspapers a press release about every single thing that happened on campus, they would start to ignore them, or they wouldn't think anything is important at all. But if I pick those 5 to 7 really good stories every month, and that's what I send to them, they're more likely to cover it, they're more likely to do something with it. And I thought that was a great way of taking, kind of old school content thinking and applying it to these new tools. So just to kind of throw out some general best practices, Facebook, we're typically looking anywhere 1 to 3 posts a week as how much content you should be posting. We try not to go over 12 to 15 posts in a month on a page. And these are posts that you're putting out there. If someone posts on your page, definitely respond to it. That doesn't count in this. Again, these are updates that you're making and pushing out there. Twitter, I kind of call it, aggregate of content plus conversation. So it's content you're pushing out there, links, whatever. Aggregate meaning maybe you're pulling some stuff that you're doing on other places in the web. And then conversation, just responding to people, interacting with people. you can go more like 2 to 4 posts a day, and that's okay. Now, my only caution on Twitter, what I see a lot of people do is spend all day on Twitter, but not get anything done, right? It's just, you get into this conversation and it's so great and we're engaging all these people, but then you you look back over your last 2 weeks and it's like, what value, what fruit was there in that? Did we really accomplish any of our true goals? You know, if your goal is retention, maybe that does play in somehow. Maybe those conversations with students, helping them customer service, kind of indirectly, helps the student experience and benefits retention. We actually had one client where they were monitoring Twitter and a student said, I just, horrible experience at the Bursar, I'm so ready to leave this place, I'm going to go get my transcripts tomorrow. So we scrambled and we made an email address, feedback@bluefuego.edu for that school, and tweeted back and said, acted like this was just a normal email that we always had set up, and said, sorry to hear you're having problems, email feedback@thisschool.edu. And the student did email and said, here are my problems, and okay, go to student services for that one, here's who you need to contact for this one, here's what you need to do here. 8 hours later, the student's, oh, this is the greatest school ever, I'm never gonna leave, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, hey, that's great. That student's gonna stay now. We're gonna have that tuition, that retention, etc. And at the end of the day, the student has a better experience with us. So that's kind of where Twitter usually plays in a little more on that conversation side. YouTube, I like to push schools to think of video content, to create content. I think it's a great way to share a message. It's probably one of the most missed opportunities in higher ed. So I'm just throwing out 2 videos a month. How many of you have a YouTube channel currently? Okay. What are you doing with it?
I subscribe to other colleges' videos that they do.
Okay.
So, in the future, I want to make videos myself,
Yeah.
but it's just me right now, so
Okay.
I haven't had that time.
Yeah. I have a handful of clients, admissions. They have YouTube accounts and they never post their own video, but they're constantly out there finding other content about them, industry related content, and they're favoriting that. And so when you go to their channel, instead of showing their own content, it just shows all of their favorite videos. So it's kind of an indirect way to say, we're active, we're participating, here's some stuff we're interested in that we think you should look at. Yeah. Anybody else on the YouTube side?
We're just creating ours. Right now we're working on a meet the staff videos. So we can see where we are, who we are, and what we do.
Cool. That's great. Yeah, those will be kind of a quick and simple, nice way. Who hosts any sort of events within their departments? Everybody? Yeah, we all kind of have all this stuff going on, right? One tool I'll share with you in a bit is a great way to basically just take photos and turn them into videos. You can do that through iMovie, you can do it through some other tools, but there's one that's web-based that I really like, and so I could even show you an example or two for that. Instagram, under 10 photos a month, and I'll share some research and a few slides on that, but again, we found too much content can be a bad thing. Some neat stuff I've seen happening around Instagram. There was a student affairs department at a school that they basically just go out and stop a student, take a picture, and ask them a few questions. It's kind of like a student of the day, student of the week type of thing. Posting images that aren't a picture but of your events, and so you're kind of getting into that feed as well to say, hey, don't forget to stop by, get your free coffee, free popcorn, whatever you're offering. Maybe it's pizza, that's always a big one. And then Google Plus. Is anyone using Google Plus in here? Yeah. So if you are, yeah, if you happen to be there, basically I'm just saying aggregate this other content. Don't create new content for Google Plus. Just take whatever you're creating elsewhere and put it there. And if you want to be active, that's all you need to do. We across all of our clients, we don't do anything on Google Plus right now. The only feature we do use is Hangouts, specifically Hangouts on Air. So you can go in, create a Hangout, and it will live stream like we're doing right now through YouTube. And so kind of a fun dynamic thing. We have one client where the Ustream server is blocked, so we can't use what we're using here. So we use that as a workaround, and it doesn't work as well as Ustream, but it gets the job done. So,
what are your thoughts on Pinterest?
Pinterest, to me,
There are a lot of, from the career perspective, I see a lot of career offices using it.
yeah, I see a lot of people using it. I have not really seen anyone say this is what has been successful about us using it. It's very much that exploratory phase. From top level university, what I usually tell clients is if you're investing a lot of time there, you're telling me that you have all of these figured out and you're doing them really well. You know, you have 28,000 fans on Facebook and you're over here with 82 followers on Pinterest, you know, spending time with them. So I think, you know, just to show you something real quick. Just to break my neck here. One way we used it with Merrimack. Sorry, I gotta find which one it is. Oops, that one. Yeah, so this was just day 5 of this microsite. We had 2 little quick videos about students talking about their living on campus experience. And then we had this decorate in style. So this was targeted towards students who are going to be coming in the fall, and basically, you know, setting up like creative room ideas. So I thought it was a fun way to use it. You know, with 51 people following this account, and having 13,000 people come through that site in 4 weeks. You know, there's not a lot of conversion of
And
people.
what we've heard is there are more females on this than
Yes,
males, and
very
you
much.
missed that male population.
Very much, yeah. You know, what not to bring, just kind of a funny, leave your microwave at home, leave your pets at home. So they're not really using this to say like, you know, click here and go look at this dog. It's just kind of a, look at this, laugh, go back and do whatever else you were doing. So, yeah, not a lot happening there. And if anyone else has questions as we go, feel free to stop me, raise your hand, throw a piece of paper up here, whatever to get my attention. So, benchmarks for Twitter. Twitter accounts in here? Okay. So this is kind of what we see as some good benchmarks. First, on the click-through rate, 2 to 5% of your followers. So if you have 100 followers, if you can get 2 to 5 clicks on a link, that's good. And you know, it doesn't seem like groundbreaking numbers, but compared to some other stuff we'll look at, that would be pretty decent. I would recommend you use something like bit.ly, bit.ly. It's a URL where you take your URL, put it in there, it'll shorten it, and it'll also give you analytics. And so, you know, even like on our text messages I talked about earlier, how we were tracking those click-through rates, I know that I'm sending this text message to 4,000 students. I can go into bit.ly. I'll just show you what it looks like real quick. And this is one of those tips and tricks for next session, I guess. But take any bit.ly link and add a plus sign to the end of it, and that'll take you to like this analytics page. So you can even do this. We do this with competitors all the time. Or like QR codes. When I was proving that QR codes are worthless to a client, I pulled one out of a major magazine, and the ad agency had used bit.ly, and I added the plus sign to the link, and it was like 6 clicks this week, and you know, it's like, okay, 14 million people subscribe to this magazine. So this is just telling us some general data. So I can go back into this kind of 30-day look, this all-time look. And remember I told you on this day when we sent it at 3:30, it did really well. And then this is that next Friday where, you know, at 7:30 p.m. it did not do well. But as you kind of do this in real time, you can come into this hour and kind of watch the clicks as they happen, which is interesting too. But yeah, just use something to get a sense of what percentage of your followers are actually clicking on your content. And you can kind of use that to determine what content works well. You can use it to determine what time of the day should I post. You know, Twitter, I said 2 to 4 updates a day. You might post the same link at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. and totally different audiences will see it, because Twitter is just sort of that waterfall of content constantly coming in. Follower growth, what we typically see just for organic growth, 1 to 3% a month is how the growth trend is. You know, if you're actively pushing that out to others, if you're doing things to grow that audience, you're going to grow faster. But if you just kind of let your account sit there and not do anything with it, that's the kind of growth we see. And then content mix, this 50-25-25 ratio I'll actually talk about in a few slides. So I'm going to leave that for now. Benchmarks for Facebook. So when we look at page growth there, this is typically what we see. When you're under 1,000 fans, you're usually growing around 4% per month until you hit 1,000 fans, and then schools grow for about 3% a month until they get up here, and then 2% after 2,500. This is kind of customized to your audience, you know, smaller department pages, specific school pages, specific offices on campus. You know, if we're talking top level university, you know, you're growing 3, 4, 5% up until like 100,000 fans, and so we see that. But just based on smaller pages, this is typically what we see. And again, this is if you're not really doing anything other than posting good content, and we can talk about other ways to do this. So post engagement on Facebook, average of 0.30 or higher, so basically 1/3 of 1% of your audience engaging with you per post. We would call that pretty successful, and so we'll talk about a formula on the next slide that can explain this a bit more. And then Facebook ads, if we're targeting fans directly with an ad, we're looking for a 0.05% click-through rate. If we're targeting what we just call affinity groups, so they aren't fans currently, but they go here, or they have a friend on Facebook who's your fan, or there's some other affinity or connection to you, then we look more like 0.03. And then if you're just hitting a broad audience, you know, throwing spaghetti on the wall, that's more like 0.02% click-through rate. So again, not earth-shattering or groundbreaking, but when you look at the cost of Facebook ads, they're not that bad. I was just running some reports yesterday for Taylor University. We targeted alumni in Denver, Indy, Fort Wayne, Detroit, Tampa, Chicago. So we would target alumni around those cities about an alumni event called Taylor on the Road that they were doing at each. In total, we spent $64, and we had 31 conversions of people seeing the ad, clicking on it, and signing up for one of those events. So $2 per person about, you know, we're happy with that. On the fundraising side, we just, with Ohio Wesleyan, we kind of more on this side, we're targeting alumni, targeting fans of Ohio Wesleyan Facebook page, etc. Kind of this one-day fundraising giving page. We spent about $135 on ads and had 64 people go through and give a donation on that day, and the average donation on the day was about $180. So again, when you run numbers and look at that, we're pretty happy with the cost of Facebook ads. If 0.03, you know, a very small percentage of your audience are clicking on it, but they're doing what you want them to do, then that can be a great thing. So the Blue Fuego formula, we came up with this about 5 years ago as a way to measure how your audience on Facebook pages are interacting with you. So we take the number of likes, the number of comments, and the number of shares, and we divide it by your number of fans, and we call that an average engagement. So this is, since we're looking at a percentage of your fan base, you know, we can compare an IUPUI to a Taylor University, to a UMass Amherst, to IU Bloomington, whatever we want to do, and we're just looking at that percentage, and we found it to be extremely consistent. We've run this formula across probably about 1.5 million pieces of higher ed content at this point over the last 4 years. So just as the example, if you have 1,000 fans and you post and you get 6 likes, 3 comments, and a share, we would take those 10 interactions divided by your 1,000 fans. So 10 divided by 1,000, we would call that a 1% engagement of your fan base. Now, if you remember, the benchmark that we threw out there back here is 0.3 or higher each month. So 1% we kind of call our rock star status. If you can get 1% of your fan base to interact with you on a post, that, again, you're doing a really good job. For the benchmark I threw out, kind of what's more regular, 0.30 would be basically 3 interactions. 3 divided by 1,000 would be 0.30. So, you know, when you kind of break that down, if you have 500 fans, if you're getting 1.5 interactions on a piece of content, that's a good thing. Now, again, that's a very small number, 1.5 people out of 500. But if you incorporate things like Bitly that we talked about with the link tracking, just because the link's there, people aren't necessarily going to like, comment, or share. You might put a link out and get 200 clicks on it, and that's the goal, right? We don't really at that point care about likes and comments. And what we see a lot is if you're sharing links, people will click, new window will open in their browser, they'll look, they'll do what they need to do, then they close it. When they come back to Facebook, they start the scroll again. They're not necessarily going to go read an article and then come back and comment or interact with you about it. So, you know, when I see like Jag Jobs talking about, you know, hey, here's this, or maybe somebody posts an article about here's how to dress for an interview, here's how to do that. When you look at it, there's no interaction on it. And so I think people tend to look at that and say, well, that was a failure, that was a bad post. But if you're using link tracking and you have a sense, and as I talk about this, Eric, is there a custom IU URL shortener?
There is. It's go.iu.edu.
Does that provide analytics?
It does for the number of clicks. The only downfall is that it does not provide custom URLs, so you can't do go.iu.edu / something that you want to put after there. It's going to be a randomized generator from there.
Yeah, but that would be, again, an IU branded URL shortener that you can use.
Is that encouraged?
It is, yeah.
I would say definitely.
Utilizing that as much as you want, and definitely since it puts our name on it instead of having a Bitly link. And then
it's like it makes it more legit too coming from the page.
And for UC offices right now, we don't have a generator for it, but we create a lot of shortened links for people for go.iupui.edu. So if you have something that you want to create it and specify it, I know I've worked with the Office of Student Employment a lot, so we just have like go.iupui.edu / JAG jobs, and you know that's something we could put on a poster or in the Facebook, and it's really easy for students to visit and remember.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, the Facebook analytics that you get on your group page, is that reliable?
We have a saying at Blue Fuego, and it's in Zuck we trust. So we've got all these Zuckerberg numbers, right, of reach and this and that, and like we kind of believe it, but at the end of the day, like this is a company who's making billions of dollars off of us, and so
it says something similar. Like now, when you
is the virality? Is that
well,
what
it's
you're
when you
looking at?
click on when you are on your analytics page and your group page, and it's a little chart at the bottom, and it shows your post, and it has this graph. Well, if you click on the graph, you can see the post, and then it'll tell you how who's engaged, how many of your fans were engaged. It'll say 1 or 2, but then if you click on that, it'll say 2 clicked the link, and then 1 just looked at it. I never understand the look. What are they looking at? Just how do they
and that
find
looks is tricky as well, because if I hop on Facebook and I'm scrolling down and it loads on my screen, Facebook counts that as a look.
Oh, okay.
I might not have even looked at it, but since it loaded on my screen, they say, same thing with ads. They charge per impression or per click. If you do per impression, if it loads on the side of my screen, that's an impression, even if I don't look over there or don't acknowledge it. And one interesting thing I just saw for the first time, as I scrolled my page, the 6 ads on the side flashed and they loaded new ones. And so I thought, now even per 1 page visit, they're loading multiple impressions over there. And so
so the looks don't really matter, but if it says actually click the link.
that's why we, again, in Zuck we trust. So when we're running this data, we've pulled it on about 1,400 higher ed pages for over 4 years now. A guy named Joe at Blue Fuego does this manually. So he looks at every single post, he calculates it on his own. It takes 15 to 20 days of the month for him to do, but we have like incredibly solid data that we know. It's, you know, we try not to rely on Facebook's numbers as much. I like to pull them on my own when I can, and I think it, you know, it's pretty easy to do if you just take a quick look at your page and divide the numbers. Any other questions on this? Yeah.
So the go.iupui.edu, is that for videos and for articles, or is that just for videos?
I think you can use it for any link,
Anything
right?
as a link, just
Yeah, so
okay.
you can just pop in what your actual link is, and then it'll take you to from there.
So EdgeRank we briefly touched on last session. Again, this formula here, this is what Facebook uses to determine what content shows in your newsfeed. I found this image, I thought it was just kind of funny, old school, is edgerank.net. But the formula is essentially taking these 3 different items: 1, your affinity score; 2, the weight; and 3, the time decay. So basically what those 3 things mean, the affinity score is everything that your users or you personally on Facebook, anything you are connected to or interact with has an affinity score. So your friends, groups, pages, any type of content. Maybe you're frequently liking articles on ESPN. So if a friend posts an article about ESPN, that's more likely to pop in your newsfeed. The weight, the different ways you interact with content on Facebook, whether you like it or comment or share, those have different weights that tie into the affinity score. So if I have a page, Office of Student Employment, and every time they post I comment, then that has a higher weight than a like. So next time OSE posts on Facebook, it's more likely to show up in my newsfeed. I've seen numbers that as few or as low as 3% of the content that all of the people and pages you're connected to make, as low as 3% of that actually comes into your newsfeed as what you see. And I know you've probably noticed, like, even friends that sort of drop off over time, you think like, oh, I haven't heard from them in a while, and you type in their name and go to their page and they've actually updated 3 or 4 times in the past week, because Facebook is constantly determining what does this person want to see. So what this means for you as a page is the less people interact with you, the less likely they're going to see future content, and that you kind of start the snowball effect where if you continue to post really boring, dull, non-interactive content, over time, no one will see it. And there's that number of like how many people have seen this. You know, even in that, if
because that confuses me too, because then you have organic and then you have
right. So if we look at like the main IUPUI page, I think I have admin access. Yeah, so you know, this was posted 19 hours ago. They have 15,000 fans. And it's telling me about 6,000 people of the 15,000 have seen this, meaning it's loaded somewhere in Facebook. You know, get down to like this post, we're at 2669. So that's, you know, less than 20% of IUPUI fans have even seen this content. You know, down here we post this link, shared a link, 1,500. So 10% of the university's fans have seen this. You know, then we go to something else like, we'll pick on Taylor because we've talked about them already. So they're at about 10,000 likes. $10,084 saw this post. So that basically means I can't say every single fan of theirs has posted or has seen this, because this number can also include non-fans. Because 41 of our fans shared this on Memorial Day, so that's 41 people who now it's out on their feed and their friends can see it. But Taylor, essentially what's happened in the last 6 months, as we've shifted their content strategy to create, you know, content that's more shareable, more interesting, that people are more likely to do something with, they've gone from more like IUPI, where 15 to 20% of your fans are seeing your content, to now as you kind of scroll through this, you can see, you know, here 15.9, so 150% of their audience has seen their content. And, you know, they're using like a promoted post here. This one, 6,000. And again, if we look in, I'm looking for one that I've promoted because I can't see the, what's that one, 18. So that tells us that 3,000 of our reach was paid and then 14,000 organic. You know, it's kind of what we want to see over time, is that organic reach is kind of matching or surpassing the number of fans we have, because we're posting interesting content. And so again, we have some clients that, like a Siena or Merrimack College, on their main page, their average reach per post is 150 to 250% of their audience every time, because they understand this, they know they need to get people to interact with them so that people will see their content, and then the content is good enough that people will share it out. And as a result, that addition, that above 100% of people are non-fans, but there's a good chance they will become fans, and if they like the content, they'll like your page. Is there any questions on this? I know it can be a little confusing. Essentially what I'm saying is, have good content, have people come back to you to build that affinity, and then it will make it more likely they see future content and continue to interact with you. Oh, and I'll just quickly touch on time decay. So time decay, this third piece, is if you post at 10 a.m. and for 2 hours no one interacts on your content, Facebook will basically determine that it's not good content, and they will decrease the likelihood that future people see it in their newsfeed. So that's where you have to keep in mind your specific audience. If your audience isn't active during the workday, but they're active after hours, then you probably need to sort of time that and post that content when people are likely to see it and interact with it. I see a lot of people who are like, it's the first thing on their to-do list today. I need to post this. I got to get it out here. 8:30 a.m. they post it. No one's going to see it, right? Because everyone else is doing that same thing at work. Oh, I got to get this done. I got to get this done. Versus, you know, waiting a few hours and making it more worth it. So some benchmarks for YouTube. Here's that site I was talking about earlier, Animoto.com, and I think it's a great one just to assist with content creation. I'll pull it up here real quick. They have a, let me see here, find my mouse. If you scroll down to the bottom here and click education or nonprofits, trying to find out. No, that's not it. I want to say, unless they've changed it, nonprofit was free. You can apply, and so I don't know if that needs to be like a top level or not. But you know, even if UC says, hey, we're going to have an account, anybody can use it. It's $250 a year. IU East uses a lot. When we started working with IU East, I basically told them, we want a new video on your homepage every week. They said, there's no way we can do that. We don't even have a videographer. So we use this. And I said, well, you have photographers, so you have video content. So let's just take those pictures and use this tool. So every week, whatever's happening on campus, we create something like this and toss it up. They don't really do it through the summer anymore. But as you can see, the transitions and everything's really nice. They have royalty-free music in Animoto, so you can just pick and say, this is the song I want. You can click and upload it straight to YouTube. Really, really nice tool. Trying to think of some other stuff they've done. One thing they do each year is put out holiday card templates. And so this is kind of the way that IU East makes a real quick holiday thank you. You can also put text in like that. So it's real drag and drop. There's a highlight feature, so if you have a specific picture that you want to last longer on the screen, that sort of thing. And then they have a fun button called Remix. So when you get done, if you just want to see it look a little differently, you click Remix and they will re-encode it and do some different things to the pictures. So it's I think this is a newer one. So again, for them to just take 30 pictures, toss it in here, takes like 5 minutes, and they click make video and come back in an hour and it's ready for them. It's one of my favorites. So Animoto.com. And then number of views. These might be a little ambitious depending on where you're at. But what we see a lot with non-official university accounts is if you just upload the video and put it on YouTube, you're gonna get about 200 views in that first month. But if you're actually embedding it into your .edu, putting it on your site, making it a main feature, we see a little more, closer to 500 views in that first month. Again, depending on how you're promoting it, are you emailing people, are you sending them to it? One of the greatest ways to get views is include a lot of students. It's kind of like, has anybody ever been in a movie? Yeah, like a blockbuster Hollywood movie?
Actually, yeah, I was an extra in one.
Okay, and did you tell like all of your friends, like, go watch this movie? Yeah. My sister-in-law was in one, and it's like at Christmas, like she was behind the actor in the movie theater. It's like, but that's what students do with YouTube videos, right? If you have a 3-minute video and I'm like seconds 33 through 35, I'm like, hey, go check this out. The Ohio State University does a really good job with that, with their Ohio videos, because it's just person after person after person. But again, if I'm one of those people within that 4 minutes, I'm going to tell all my friends, and they're going to go watch it too. So, what type of content should I be posting? Getting back to this 50, 25, 25, this is a nice ratio that we've come up with to share with people on, again, the type of content to post. So 50% we say informational, 25% conversational about you, and then 25% conversational, not necessarily about you. So here's just a nice 50% informational type of post saying, congrats to our student who's completed an internship, now they've got a job, kind of an outcomes piece as well, just saying, hey, great job, and you've probably seen, Liz, that people interact with that content pretty well. Again, I think that outcomes piece is what makes this nice. So your press releases, your news, your events, that's kind of in this 50% informational. From there, 25% conversational about you. So Bepco's saying, do you use a highlight when studying? And then kind of using that to talk about studying, but also share some content. I think what could have made this more conversational is maybe saying like, what's your favorite color? Or what's your go-to highlighter color? Something like that to get people to say something. Yeah.
We tried that on our career planning page. Like we'll ask them, different questions. Like the one we put up, we had it was a quote that said, a goal without a plan is just a wish. And that we can help them create a plan. What is your plan? That kind of
Crickets.
thing. Yeah, and we've done that a couple of times.
Yeah.
So then what's
It's tough because if you throw yourself out there like that and it doesn't go well, then you don't want to look.
Yeah, like should we keep doing it?
Yeah.
Because we always ask a question. We don't just.
Right, and that's why within this I like to just 25%. We had a few clients about a year back who realized if you say like this, everyone will do it. But they were saying that every single post. And I said, you have to stop. Yeah, just kind of freshen it up. Just, stop saying like this. And then the other 25%, just conversational about anything. So undergrad had said, what a great game, Pacers win. A couple of weeks ago they said, cheer on George Hill and the Pacers, IUPUI, stuff like that. That's kind of that, about anything. This can also be industry related, so I know Bepco and like Office Student Employment a lot will share, resume tips, we talked about all that, interviews, etc. That's all sort of good content.
How much do you
how much weight should we give something where people just anecdotally talk about it? Like, we posted something recently, we have 2 new sustainability degrees, and we posted something about the use of plastic bags, should they be banned?
Right.
And I had a couple students say to me, oh, that was really thought-provoking. They didn't engage with
Right.
it on Facebook, but I know.
Or maybe they click that link and go do something with that, but we
Yeah.
don't see that outcome. Yeah.
Yeah, would Bitly show that, or would, I mean.
Bitly would show the click, but
I would
that's,
just see that they read it,
yeah.
even if they didn't comment or.
Yeah, I
share.
mean, if you wanted to take your links further, you can use, it's called Google URL Builder, and you can add basically this data that goes to the end of the link, and then within Google Analytics, you can see really far. I can see how many people came, how many pages they looked at, what pages they looked at. But for your day-to-day posting, that's probably overkill.
And if people just mention it, is that, I mean, that surely
Yeah, I
is
think
worth
it's great.
something.
They saw it and they
Even if
remembered
they
it.
didn't.
Yeah.
They don't even necessarily remember if they saw it on Twitter or Facebook. Or
Right.
whatever. They just remember that
Stuck
somebody
with them.
posted it.
Yeah. So just some data real quick, as I talked about on Instagram, post less than 10. So we're basically replicating the Facebook data we've been doing, and we're now doing on Instagram, so likes plus hearts divided by number of followers. So this is looking at 198 accounts in higher ed that have 200 followers on March 1, and they had posted at least 3 photos in the month of February. So you can see this really sharp decline. So the 10 most engaging accounts out of those 200 averaged 6.9 photos. The 10 least engaging accounts averaged 38 photos, so a little over a photo a day. But you can basically see the upper 50th percentile, 51 to 100%, are in this 6.9 to 9.8 range, with the mean there 18.3. So we definitely see this correlation, right? That the more content you post, the less likely your audience is to interact with it. And yeah.
So would you discourage like Instagram contests? Like, you know, what's your favorite place on campus? Snap it and post it to the campus on Instagram?
No, because you're not posting all of those, right? If you're just saying it once and saying use this hashtag,
sure, and
20 other people do that and use that hashtag, then that's terrific. Yeah.
I was going to say, I use a lot of recognition of others with my posts. And even so, I deal with a lot of marathons where I'm out and I'm interacting with crowds of people running by. I can say like beautiful weather or make some noise if you like the weather. Hardly anybody's going to say anything. If I say make some noise if you run beside your best friend, everybody's going to yell.
Yeah.
Or if I say make some noise because you're out here for a family member who inspired you, they're going to do. So I just kind of, even though I'm posting something about what I'm interested in, I'm actually saying, well, if you have a mentor who's inspired you, give them a shout out in the comment. And then the article above it is like 5 tips your mentor would say in order to get to grad school.
Yeah. Yeah, giving your audience an opportunity to talk about themselves is great as well. You know, everybody talks about the weather, but you know, my specific mentor, that's terrific, yeah. So another reason why this graph was really interesting to us is that when we look on the Facebook side, where again, like 1.5 million posts, all this data, you know, taking the same concept across hundreds of schools for an entire 12 months. This is just looking at 1 month. But this was Facebook, which came down to 786 schools who had at least 300 fans on January 1st of 13 and posted at least 5 times a month in 2012. 10 most engaging pages in the nation, 9.4. 10 least, 46.9. This, for the first time in 4 years, this was the first time that it wasn't a step ladder. You know, this is kind of different, but same concept applies. The more schools are posting, the less their audience interacts with them. So just keep that in mind as you're out there thinking of content. You know, I've seen schools like this ridiculous, huge content calendar, and they're trying to come up with their 30 posts for the month, and it's like, don't think so hard about it. Just what's interesting to you, and that will probably be interesting to your audience.
Do you think that's true? Even we have such a small group of Facebook users, but I mean, we have 500, and we're grateful to have them because they're 500 that matter to us.
Right, and you know, 13 divided by 500 is well more than 0.3%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what we should base it on, not.
Yeah. I mean, here
necessarily
you're like
national
2.5%.
Right.
So according to the 0.3, you know, like 8 times above that. So,
It just seems like, since we're not talking to the world, we're talking to us.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also some of these guidelines, I think, just from an overall university perspective, is to make sure that you're not saturating IU or IUPUI. You know, if everyone in the room was posting 60 times a month, and even if I only like, you know, 3 pages, that's a lot of content to get from my school. So one pet peeve, and I'm going to throw this out there. When you're posting photos on Facebook, what works well on Twitter or through an email doesn't always translate well to the Facebook world. Facebook has shifted to a very square world. I don't know if that's because they purchased Instagram, because Instagram is square. I don't know, but if you look at the type of images on a wall, the ideal 403 by 403 pixels. When you get to the photo viewer, you're 960 by 960, and then you can upload images up to 2048 by 2048. So if I upload an image of this size, it's going to scale it down. So I talked to Liz about this and got her approval at the end of last session. We were just kind of quickly looking through her page at the end. So this is something they had posted. You know, want to learn the basics of sustainable systems and policy, check out the 3 credit crafts for the fall. So you can see we've got that 960 by 960 box, and this is more of like the website banner or an email, that sort of image. So it looks okay here if I click in it, but if I'm just seeing this scroll through in my news feed, I'm losing a lot of very important information. And just a couple more that I saw. We're recording, so I'm not gonna do my Alicia Keys karaoke, but you know, this girl is on ire instead of on fire because we're getting cut off in this box restriction. Or Finding Nemo, you know, I just want to make sure that your audience isn't losing those important details, whether it's the joke or where the event's at, what time it is. You know, if you say 11 a.m. but it gets cut off 1 a.m. and some kid shows up and like the office is locked and they're really mad. I don't know if that would ever happen, but you know, again, just kind of remembering that Facebook is shifting to this square world, and you might have to modify your images to work within. So a couple more slides here. Some YouTube content tips. Tag, title, description are huge on YouTube. Always tag your video. Always give it a good title, good description. Mention IUPUI in the description or tags if you want to spell out the whole Indianapolis, you know, the Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis. You can do that there. File name is actually huge. If you upload your file, which is dsc_4062.mov, there are 100 other videos, if not thousands, on YouTube that have been uploaded like that. But if you upload it, IUPUI, Office of Student Employment, welcome video.mov, YouTube actually looks at that and they use that for even search engine optimization of the video. I have a video, I fly a lot, and I noticed that there were no videos on YouTube called First Time Flying, but that's a huge search on Google. So just as kind of a test, I was like, I wonder if I can game this and do it. So now if you search, First Time Flying, that's my video. So you can see I uploaded it almost 2 years ago, but now I've started to see, now you see I have an ad on it, so I just made 5 cents. So I'm just kind of playing with this and kind of, you know, can I do that? But from your end, I think that's great too. If your sustainability program, thinking of like, what are these terms that people search for, and can we sort of play or tie our content into it? Let that music play in the background because it's real calming your first time flying, right? Related videos are your best friend as well. We talked about that YouTube coma last time, where you watch a video, then you click and you watch another one, and 40 minutes later you're watching the cat jump off the couch, right? As you do this well, this will fall into play. The first 3 tags on every YouTube video are the most important. So if within your account you make the first 3 tags of every video the same, those related videos will really fall into place. One time with a client microsite, we made up 3 words that are not used anywhere on YouTube or probably the internet. One was shovelbird as one word, fuego-tastic, and something else. But we tagged every video with those 3 tags to start, and within a day, you go to watch one video, and that entire related video bar was every other video we had uploaded. So that's again what you want to do. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Just don't overthink YouTube. Use what the video is about. Tag it, title it, description, move on. And also just thinking, be immediate, as we talked about. Get the photos from those events, make that video real quick, and put it out. I had a client back in, I think it was October, who said, hey, our commencement video's done, what should we do with it? I was like, throw it away. No one cares anymore. Like commencement, if you don't have it up within a day or 2 after the event, it's over. And so thinking about that as well. And then just a couple quick thoughts on increasing audience size. I know we're running out of time here, but I think as we've talked about a bit, the best way to grow your audience is simply to post great content, to have interesting updates that people will share on your behalf, that people will interact with and others will see as a result. If your content is not good, then people, even if you spend money or even if you have this huge marketing push to get them to your page, they're going to look at it and say, I don't want that. I don't want that in my feed. I don't want to subscribe to that. So that's where content is very important. Probably don't have time to go through this. I'll share the slides out and you can, or did we already do that today?
No, I haven't shared them
Okay.
yet, but they'll be
So just kind of look around that. Ogilvy had put this out as just like a 7 principles of social design, how to make content shareable. I thought it was interesting. But also just making sure you're cross-promoting each other within this room. If you're familiar with using the @ sign, so I say thanks to, and I do @ IUPUI, other pages will pop up, and you can kind of keep typing till you get the one you need. And then after you click it, you see it makes this link. So when my update goes out, anyone can click that and go straight to that page. And so just a nice way within the room to be working with each other. And we talked this with Facebook ads in the last session, but don't be afraid to spend a few bucks, whether it's on LinkedIn, even with LinkedIn ads. Twitter now has ads. They have kind of this new feature. I don't know if I can quickly describe it, but basically you can do like a custom ad within a Twitter stream that's goal focused. So like sign up for this email list or do this. So that's a new thing that's just coming out. But I think again, if you want to grow your audience and do it significantly and fastly, you might have to spend a few dollars there. And then last thought is just chase relevance, not size. Don't try to get to 1,000 fans just to say you have 1,000 fans or to make your VP happy with a pie chart. Get a relevant audience. If you're 500, those are 500 people who care about you and you care about and they're great to interact with, then be content and happy with that and continue to look for more people along that thread. So that's what I have for today. We'll open it for questions, but also just throw this up here that our 3rd of 3 sessions will be same time, same place, June 10th. Social web tips and tricks. So are there any questions? Yeah.
How does Facebook handle your own content share when you take it from your wall and you share it with somebody else who you feel may be interested? Does it have to renew it within the 2-hour window and keep it fresh? Like, should I share it with one friend after an hour, share it with another friend another hour, or what?
I've never experimented with that. I would think that Facebook acknowledges that you're an admin of the page, and maybe they haven't thought of that, but I don't know the answer to that. I haven't ever seen someone try it. If you do, let me know. Okay. That could be good. That just kind of the interaction within the page as well, not necessarily sharing it out, but comments and likes are good. So even getting people to the page to do something with it. But again, in Zuck we trust. I don't know if even link clicks help that time decay. If no one's interacting with it, but everyone's clicking the link and doing that, I consider that success. I think that's helpful, but I don't know if Facebook does because it's not directly happening on their platform. Any other questions?
Well, thank you very much. If you haven't already registered for that session, registration is open, so it's the same web link, just uc.iupui.edu/social, and hopefully we'll see you in June.
URL.